to San Diego Emerging Museum Professionals Summer Workshop, What the Tech, generously hosted by San Diego Zoo. Okay, so on behalf of the San Diego EMP Board and our Programs Committee, raise your hand if you're here. Thank you all for joining us. They're all in the back. Working hard. So museums and cultural institutions have been faced with the common challenge of remaining or becoming relevant to audiences in the 21st century. As information, entertainment, and technology become more available and through constantly changing apps and devices, adaptation is our only option. Today you will hear from 6 presenters who are using technology to change the way we interact with our audiences. While there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to technology in museums, this workshop is intended to be a catalyst for ideas and inspiration on how you can come up with different programs and ideas to engage new audiences and support ongoing initiatives in your institutions. So we're going to introduce our presenters. Great, so Robert Rutherford, digital content developer from San Diego Natural History Museum. Hi, Robert. Jason Alderman, user experience designer working with Balboa Park Cultural Partnership. Rachel Molstein, account strategist with Classy.org. Angela Venuti, membership gladiator at Museum of Photographic Arts. And Matt Steele, social media manager from San Diego Zoo. And then Taraj, you didn't make it on here, but Taraj Barman, CEO of Ruby Inc. And you guys all have presenter biographies and our upcoming workshop. So I'm going to be awkward and read yours, Taraj. Taraj Barman is the founder and CEO of Ruby, a website and app that lets users create social engagement around visual media collections called pods. Taraj has spent 15 years in various parts of software development, management, consulting, and the wireless industry. He's also a patented inventor with 2 approved patents in the mobile space and 3 more pending. A San Diego native, Taraj has settled back in San Diego after college at MIT and business school at Yale. He's played leadership roles in his local alumni groups and is becoming an ever more interested museum and art enthusiast. Welcome, Taraj.
Thank you.
So Robert is going to get us started.
This here thing. All right. Morning, everybody. Thanks to the EMP for inviting me. I'm really excited to present to you on some of the stuff that we are doing over at the NAT, using technology to enhance the visitor experience. If anybody has any questions or wants to continue the conversation outside of the workshop, feel free to send me an email. We'll get started. So very specifically, we are using beacon technology in our museum to enhance the visitor experience. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what those things are, if you've never heard of them, how they work, and how exactly we are using them. So a beacon is a type of transmitter. It uses Bluetooth radio signals, so it's the same way that your phone communicates to your car stereo if you actually have a modern car, or to wireless speakers, etc. When coupled with an app, transmitters allow that app to understand a user's position in a space on a micro-local scale and deliver hyper-contextual content based on location. That's sort of a mouthful and really boring to hear, as boring as it is to read, probably. Put a little simpler, the Bluetooth beacons sort of work in conjunction with the Wi-Fi system. So our museum has the Balboa Park Wi-Fi. So the Bluetooth beacons can send out a signal and, in essence, locate you the same way that GPS does. So it triangulates your location. So that allows us to locate people in the museum very precisely, hopefully, ideally. And then with the Wi-Fi, we can actually deliver content. So that can be, it can be interpretive text, it can be audio clips, it can be photos, it can be videos. And that's really where we're interested in sort of leveraging the technology, is because our museum, it's big, but our public spaces are actually somewhat limited. We have this very active research facility happening behind the scenes that's sort of closed off to the public. So when we started talking about using this technology, we really wanted it to break down the walls, not only in the museum, but sort of out into the natural world in the San Diego region. So the technology itself is letting us to do two things. It's allowing us to create a wayfinding system. So because we can position people in a museum, in our museum, we can actually give them directions to find the restroom or whatever, the ticketing system. And then we can also use that map to deliver content. So the system that we are using is called Wi-Fair. They're sort of an out-of-the-box software app, and they have helped us to create the wayfinding experience. So the way that it works is that we've got 90 Bluetooth beacons scattered over our 5 floors. And when you open this app on your phone or tablet, it'll bring up this screen, and you will see yourself represented as a blue dot just on a map. And you'll see that there's other icons. And those icons each represent a point of interest, and that may be a facility, so it could be like movie show times, or it could be something more interesting, like a video. So as you're moving around, you can click on an icon and see the type of content that's hosted there at that point of interest. And then you can click on that little icon, and it will take you to a page that may have some interpretive text or a video, like an audio clip, or what have you. And this is where it gets really interesting, and this is where it's been fun with us to play around with technology. Being able to create just little multimedia vignettes, it sort of frees us from the shackles of really rigorous, insane, planned by committee interpretive text that you would do for a permanent exhibition. So we can play around with narrative, we can play around with voice, we can play around with perspective, of all of those things. So we've been trying to have a little bit of fun with it. We're trying to let our hair down. A lot of people think that in natural history museums or in science centers that you are tasked with presenting objective information, the truth of science. And that tends to ignore all of the romantic, exciting, passionate things that actually go into the development of that science. And so what we're trying to do with this technology is really to come at it from different perspectives. And the app actually provides us with really interesting analytics, so we can actually see what people are watching, what works for them, what they don't like, what is, if they watch the entire video, if they ditch it after a few seconds. So we can actually play around with all of those elements that I talked about when we create these narratives or these interpretive points of interest. And we can use that data to help us create better stuff in the future. So I wanted to show you one that we did in just a second. But I also want to say that it was really important for us as a museum to try and come at this from what we could do feasibly. So we don't have a huge tech budget, we don't have a ton of equipment, but we have willpower and gumption and a staff that's excited about doing stuff. And so we wanted to just work with what we had. So we have just a very basic camera, it shoots in high def, and I enlisted the help of our mammalogist and one of our, this grizzled old guy who works in our exhibitions department, and I was like, how about we put him in a skunk costume and have our mammalogist describe skunk behaviors in the urban interface, and he will act out those behaviors. Great, so we got together and we filmed. This is actually one of a series of 5. And at first the mammalogist was like, and he's this big dude, and he was like, he's sort of grumbly and not very into it, but we got him there. We filmed at my house, and once we started going and got the guy in the skunk costume and he was acting it out, it went, he very quickly turned and was like, all right, I'm into this, and he started generating ideas, and what went from 3 ideas became enough footage for 5 little films. As I was editing the footage, I was like, man, what would be great is if we had a theme song to open this up. So I approached one of the musicians who works at our museum, and they recorded a theme song for it. And it turned out really well. So again, it's not the fanciest looking thing, but we had fun making it.
Skunks have a very powerful musk gland used to fend off predators. It is accurate up to 15 feet. When it feels threatened, it will actually start stomping its front and sometimes its hind feet, and continue to do that for several seconds. Then turn around and show you its tail one more time and give you a few more seconds and then spring. If you see a skunk exhibiting any of these behaviors, back away. For more information about skunks and other creatures that live in your backyard, visit the net.
48 seconds, it's fun, it's funny, and it actually delivers valuable scientific content. It's accurate, if you will. And so we're really excited about using this technology to do more of this and to just play around with it and let our hair down and just be excited about all of the geeky stuff that happens in our museum. Having said that, there are challenges to using this technology. With the beacons themselves, being on the cutting edge of technology means sometimes that you're bleeding out. The beacons and indoor positioning overall, it's still sort of new. And it doesn't necessarily look the way that people expect it to look when you say it's like Google Maps but inside. We have static maps, and the user experience has been a little bit confusing for people. So because we're trying to deliver content underneath the umbrella of a wayfinding experience, if people can't actually find the content in a way that makes sense to them, why even make it? Then, you know. So we're still working through some of that stuff to make sure that the wayfinding experience is good enough so that people can actually find this content. But there are also a lot of opportunities, and this is really what I'm most excited about. When we talk about the narrative, we can talk about content and it's king. So we have a video where it's written and starring a 9-year-old girl, and she goes on a whale watching adventure, and she's talking about her experience from her perspective. It's narrated by her. She helped me write the script, so she was like fully invested in this project. We're doing a series of videos that's all Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus for you educators in the room. We have a whole series of videos that are Frizzle content, so families can come in and just have this entire experience in the museum just accessing Miss Frizzle content. I wanted to hunt one of our curators and shoot him with a tranquilizer dart and mount body cameras on him and send him into the wild. They wouldn't let me actually tranquilize him, but we did film that. So we sort of did this fun video where we get to sort of follow the mysterious curator out into the field while he collects insects, and we narrate it. It's like a whole David Attenborough thing. We get to show behind the scenes footage of things that happen in our herbarium, like processing cacti, which is something that people don't necessarily think about, but happens all the time. We get to show our live, the live creatures that live in our museum in a way that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. And we get to follow our researchers out into the field to see what they're doing with our museum collections. And that photo down there in the left-hand corner is it's a fossilized mammoth skull being sent into a CAT scan over at the Naval Medical Hospital. And so we got to follow and document that entire process and interview our paleontologists and the radiologists at the Naval Hospital about what we can learn from a mammoth skull by running it through a CAT scan. So again, content is king. We're just trying to have fun with it. I just wanted to show you one more little video, and this one's sort of germane to the entire park. ostensibly speaking, you could do anything that you've seen with an iPhone or an iPad. It might not look as polished, but you could do the equivalent of this with very, very simple tools. So that's really my big takeaway from this process is that the more that we can do this, the more delight and value that we can provide to our visitors, our customers, and people all over the way. Thanks.